Hello everybody, we're back in Aurora 4X and we're continuing our EarthCorp campaign, and we're in the middle of our first engagement with the aliens. Our corporate leadership decided to send half the fleet in to investigate the Solian system where we had found aliens before, and as you can see by this image, things did not go well. But they almost went well. So our PD was able to shoot down maybe 2/3 of the missiles coming at us, but obviously that wasn't enough, and we've been taking casualties. And their ships are ever so slightly faster than ours, so they can catch up. They can catch up with us. Nevertheless, we are running away because there isn't sort of a very developed professional Navy, attitude of leave no one behind. These are our poorly paid, not mercenaries, but it's a corporate navy. It's not a national navy. So we're running, and we've left all these people behind. And it wasn't too long after I stopped recording that we finally noticed some missiles catching up with us. But these are only salvos of 4. Now they have impacted the Resolute 3, but they have not destroyed it. Now there appears to be... Okay, these are larger salvos, so a 12 and a 13 salvo, so that's about 26. Interesting. Let's see what it is targeted at. All right, that destroyed the Resolute 5. So there's still the Resolute 3 here that is intact. So let's keep advancing time here. Time's still moving in 5-second increments. Okay, here comes another salvo. So what's interesting is that either they're not firing from all their ships, or 25 missiles is the largest salvo they can fire with this fleet that is pursuing us. All right, and that is the end of the stranded ships, the Resolutes 3 and 5. Now there's still the trailing Export 3. And yeah, we have 28 missiles incoming, looks like. Which damages the Escort 3, but does not destroy it. It is even slower than before. The issue, though, is that although the salvo sizes are diminished, our PD capability is also diminished. And the salvo size is not incredibly diminished. We're still looking at 25. It's still like 31 missiles. So I don't know if we have enough to take this on. There's an additional new salvo headed here. 4444. So, by the way, we can infer from this that there are ships that are firing salvos of 4, and there are ships that are firing salvos of 14. Obviously, the smaller ships must be firing the salvos of 4. Looking at their ship classes, the ships that are pursuing us, and the salvos of 14 are coming in pairs. I would guess it's the Chabanenkos that are shooting the 14 salvos. It's interesting that they didn't follow us with the rest of them, though. All right. Let's see how this goes. I mean, we took 8 hits. We destroyed 19 missiles, took 8. There was a secondary explosion, however. Let's see. It appears it is the leverage 4 and the export 1 that were struck. The engines all very damaged. And here the leverage 4 just took armor damage. Oh no, there are 3 salvos of 14 at once. So the export 3 finally gets taken out. So it could be the Spiridonovs. Okay, we just lost 2 resolutes here. There's really, unfortunately, not much that we can do. You know, tactically, you can imagine an alternate scenario where we had just charged in and attempted to take some of them down with us. But that would have required like extreme bravery, and I don't think that is the mindset of these of this corporate navy. And now the problem is that our fleet has lost so many of its ships that that we can't even fend off these smaller number of missile strikes. So I believe our entire fleet is going to be completely wiped out. And that is a painful lesson to learn, but an important one nonetheless. And so I'm just going to wait for our for us to be completely annihilated here. Let's see, what's going on with the Resolute 2 here? I'm pretty sure its engines are shot. Yep. And what's left in Fleet 1? Just the leverage 6. And it has no armor left. One of its engines is destroyed. Okay, we're like, this is over. But let's let it finish for real. I mean, it would be special if they let this one ship survive. I'm kind of curious if that's going to happen. It might happen. Okay, so let's do a quick postmortem here and sort of in character. I think the corporate leadership looking at this is going to, maybe institute new training policies. The crews were trained very well. They responded very quickly. But there was a certain level of, I guess, cowardice. And this is just a role-playing way of me kind of criticizing my own decision-making. Although, to be fair, I think this outcome was inevitable. I could have charged head-on and tried to score a few hits, tried to launch some missiles at them. Which, I thought I might be able to run away. I didn't know the exact disposition of their navy in terms of how many ships it would pursue with missiles and what kind of ammo reserves they had. Obviously, they have plenty of magazines and they can keep shooting for days. So what this tells us is a few things. First of all, our ships, if only they were a little bit faster, we could outrange them. However, we have a bigger problem, which is that the range of our missiles is only 25 million kilometers, whereas their range is 50 million kilometers. So in order to fight this effectively, we need to either bring roughly twice the amount of ships that we did, but of course we lost a whole fleet. So now we have to train, we have to build and train a lot more ships to try to do this again. But we can also try to outrange them by building longer range missiles. But having longer range missiles isn't going to stop them from closing the gap with us because their ships are faster. But their ships are not much faster than us. So there is a play here to be made. If we had significantly longer range missiles, imagine if we could design a missile that could shoot 80 million kilometers out, then of course we would need new missile fire controls. So we need to update the ship, not just the missiles. But that would allow us to engage them without them being able to engage us. They would have to run away from us, but then we'd be able to target the planet safely. Or they would have to charge into us, but it would take them the delta, right? The difference between the speeds of our ships is only 200 kilometers per second. So it would take them a long time to close that difference in missile range, a 30 million range difference. And in that time, we could do a ton of damage and possibly disable a lot of their ships. However, that's not guaranteed because they have PD of their own, and we only have 5 salvos on our ships. So we fire our 5 salvos, we do damage, but if we don't completely cripple their fleet, then how are we going to survive the rest of that encounter? In other words, as long as we are slower than them, we are going to be stuck retreating right from their... We're going to be stuck unable to retreat from them and being forced to fend off all their missiles with our PD. So there are 2 options here. One option is just mass manufacture and go in with a much larger fleet, and that can give us success. But unfortunately, there's no half measure of technology upgrades. We can't just upgrading our missiles to be longer range is not going to win this fight for us because we can't deliver enough damage without them being able to close the gap with us. Although I'd have to do some math on that, but 200 kilometers per second, and if we're talking millions of kilometers, that's if we're talking 20 million, suppose I had a 20 million range, this is 100,000 seconds, which is, so I'm just doing some math in my head here, but that's on the order of hours, maybe a couple of days. No, it's not enough. But it's not quite enough. So in other words, they could gain on us before we got back to the jump gate, is what I just calculated. So that is the lesson that we have learned. Let's take a quick look. What do we have available here? Not much. We're training some new ships, but we do not have a large number. Yeah, it's going to take a while. It's going to take years to build up to the correct amount. So I think this is going to be the plan. I think what we're going to do is we are going to build up so that we have a fleet that is roughly at least twice the size as the fleet that we just sent in. In other words, we currently have the Uvina Fleet 2. We're going to keep that one. Obviously, we're not going to send it in right away. We're going to double the size of this fleet with all our existing assets, and we're going to keep building them. Maybe triple it. And we're going to send that fleet in next. In the meantime, we are going to work on our research, and we are going to research better engines. We're going to go to Ion Engine Tech. And then we're going to redesign the whole fleet to be better. And instead of like refitting these old ships, we're going to make a bigger fleet with the old ships, see if that has success. Meanwhile, we're just going to upgrade to new ships right away. We're not going to like retrofit the old ships to the newer ones. So that's going to be the strategy for now. So we're going to end this episode now. It's going to be a little shorter, but there wasn't much to do after our fleet got destroyed completely. And yeah, learning experiences to be had in the Asulian system. So I'll see you guys next time. Take care.